Kim Kardashian is getting hate right now, and for once, I don't think she deserves it, because she just said, instead of going to a therapist, I vent about my problems to my friends. And that just seems like such a healthy outlook on the world. Here was her quote. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my friends. I have the best friends and they're super supportive. I think that's probably why I've never seen a therapist. It's because I have the best friends in the entire world and they mean everything to me. And this would seem like a relatively benign thing to say, but the internet absolutely had a conniption over this take, because it's actually abuse to tell your friends about your problems.
And we valorize therapy.
Yeah, so here were some of the responses. In the replies, they said, she doesn't see a therapist because she has yes men telling her nothing is wrong with her. Very normal.
I mean, most therapists these days don't seem to be very
Therapists
good at
are yes men.
Yeah, they don't tell you that you're doing anything wrong either.
Yeah. Another one said, why would she need one? The kids stress you out. You call the nanny. You're not working a full-time shift just to barely be able to pay your bills. You can travel wherever and whenever. You don't have to cook your food. Nothing.
Both sides of the aisle are very, very bad about understanding that just because someone has money doesn't mean that their life is perfect.
Well,
and there's a whole lot, like there's a huge amount of people that just lack any empathy for someone because their struggles are different from the struggles that you face.
Dude, I wouldn't want to be Kim Kardashian.
No, like
definitely not.
Like that's always one that bothered me, because it's like, look, yes, a lot of our trouble comes from, are you going to make your bills this month? A lot of people's are. That's understandable. But for the most part, most of the human experience involves trouble that doesn't necessarily connect to that. It is the psychic problems that come from issues with friends or family, all of which could be exacerbated by money, I suppose. But the human condition doesn't always need money to be the thing that screws it up. So but they believe that because that person is better off, and that type of have and have not attitude that so many people possess, is why we are so quick to dehumanize and deperson anyone just because they come from wealth.
I mean, her coming from wealth isn't the most flattering thing about her, but still, it doesn't mean she doesn't have real problems.
Even if you don't think they're real problems, that doesn't mean they don't actually affect her.
The most disturbing thing about this is that people don't think you should talk about your problems with your friends. One person said, therapy is not just talking and support. It's a effing full-ass treatment plan to stabilize your mental health, for F's sake. Another one said, hey, don't let this influence you not to seek therapy just because your friends listen. A therapist doesn't just listen. They're trained to consistently respond in ways that help you self-reflect and confront yourself. That's why therapy is effective and cool. Another one said, this is exactly...
No, can I ask a question? Is there like actual evidence that... I'm asking a genuine question. Is there evidence that therapy is extremely beneficial? Or have we just kind of made that the case du jour in the public now? Like, do we have evidence that people are better off in the age of therapy?
Better off in the age of therapy? No. People who have diagnosable serious mental disorders,
that's not what we're talking about, though.
They would benefit from it. Yeah. But the problem now is that everyone, regardless of whether they actually have anything wrong with them mentally, are expected to go to therapy as a prerequisite for just being a functioning human adult. Another one said, this is exactly why Kim Kardashian has not made any progress as a person at all in the last couple of decades. But most unhinged of all, one person said, this is abuse. If you're using your friends as therapists, you're a bad friend.
She's not saying she uses her friends as therapists. She's saying that she has a natural outlet for things that bother her.
Okay, obviously. But if you don't catch on to that implication, you are insane. Like, obviously, they think it's abuse to tell your friends that something is bothering you.
Because that you're putting emotional labor onto them.
And now everybody speaks to their friends in this day and age like they're HR reps. Everyone has this weird therapy speak, this weird HR speak that they use with each other, instead of just being real and having any actual vulnerability, which is the point of venting to your friends. So this reminded me of an infamous, terrifying thread that was posted on X back in 2019.
So you went all the way back to find this thread.
I knew of it because it went so viral because it's the worst thing ever. This is written by a PhD in human sexuality studies, whatever that means. So you already know who you're dealing with. She said, I want to chat briefly about this text I received from a friend last week. Here's what the text says. Do you have the emotional/mental capacity for me to vent about something medical/weight related for a few minutes? That's just a weirdly clinical way to approach your friend and say, hey, do you got time to talk?
Yeah, all you have to say is like, hey, you got a minute?
She thought this was a teaching moment for society. This is how you should talk to your friends, like you're, work in an HR department. Mm-hmm. So she said, the person who sent this text is a very good friend of mine. We have the kind of relationship wherein, yes, of course, I would make time for her and her needs, as I know she would for me. That is to say, she doesn't have to ask for permission for my time. But here's why that text was really important. It acknowledges that I have limited time and emotional availability. It asks permission to vent rather than unloading without warning. It notes the content of the conversation, which could be triggering for me. It gives me a clear sense of the expectations for the conversation. It gives me an opportunity to say yes, no, or to counter offer. For example, I'm busy right now, but I'll call you later if that works. I'm the kind of person who people reach out to when they're in pain because I'm good at emotional processing and logical problem solving, said no one who is actually good at those things ever. I tend to be the go-to for my friends who need to externally process their experiences, which also means that at any given moment, I'm having several crises happening in my text messages at once, on top of my followers who are in need of advice in my various inboxes, on top of my own problems. So for someone to pause and think, I would really like to talk to Melissa right now, but let me check in to see if she has the capacity for this, is astounding to me. And it really shouldn't be. Asking for consent for emotional labor, even from people with whom you have a long-standing relationship that is welcoming to crisis averting, should be common practice. It sets the tone for the conversation. I'm now prepared for what's coming rather than feeling barraged. It gives the listener the ability to do their best job. I can set myself up to have this talk rather than being put on the spot. And it allows me to check in with myself and my own needs. It communicates, I respect that you are your own person who is already carrying a lot. And it reminds me that it's okay for me to say no. She went on and on after this for a whole other half of the thread. But at the end, she gave us an example of how you could respond to your friend who wants to vent. So here is her template for how you should respond to someone if you don't have the capacity to listen to their problems. Hey, I'm so glad you reached out. I'm actually at capacity helping someone else who's in crisis / dealing with some personal stuff right now. And I don't think I can hold appropriate space for you. Could we connect at a later date or time instead? / do you have someone else you could reach out to? If you got a text like this from your friend, you would immediately assume that they don't care about you.
Guys don't talk to each other like this, ever.
No one talks to each other like this, at least I hope. But now, because venting to your friend is being defined as emotional labor that you are forcing onto somebody instead of just having a relationship with them, like any normal human being, this is how you're expected to talk.
It's like the guy talking about nourishing male friendships, or the guy who is like, I cut off a bunch of my friends because nobody checked in on me after I had surgery.
Yeah. I mean, now like male friendships.
Your man card has been revoked.
Male friendships are kind of warping into this feminine mode. Yep. And, also, I'll just say in any of my female friendships, we don't talk to each other like this. This is not normal to talk to your friends like they are in an HR department at some bureaucracy.
So what you're saying is that billionaire Kim Kardashian is more normal because she talks to her friends about her problems than a PhD, a PhD professor.
Yeah, somehow in this particular instance, Kim Kardashian is the normal one. And I never thought I would say that, but She's giving people good advice. It's not even advice. She's just talking about her own personal experience, and she got attacked for it. She didn't even say therapy is always bad. Don't go to therapy. She just said, I don't go to therapy personally, and I like to vent to my friends instead.
Well, the entirety of the medical industrial complex would love for you to go to therapy because it they profit from it. They profit
and
from
then you
and
end up on medications, perhaps. So, you know, if it's profitable, that's what you're going to be encouraged to do.
I think personally that the way she phrased it here is also, this is an issue of text being the main way people talk now, that her ideal responses back to you might seem okay to her in text, even though they're ridiculously overly clinical, but nobody would speak that way in the real world.
I would hope not. But
because you would think you're talking to a robot.
People have this therapy kung fu. If they've been in therapy for long enough, or if they're a therapist themselves, they have this weird linguistic kung fu that they do. They're always averting any actual communication.
What was the thing in the guy talking about nourishing male friendships? The guy's like, damn, that sucks. What do you want on your pizza? That's
so much better of a response than, hi, I'm at capacity right now. Could I give you a referral to a mutual friend of ours?
She like sends you a text with like a prescription written out with like a referral notice.
It's basically an out of office note.
Yeah.
For a friend who's in need.
I'm busy right now.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Also, like, gone are the days when what would happen is you would let your friend vent to you, and then when they're done, they'd go, wow, I really need to get that off my chest. And then they actually feel better.
It doesn't actually require you to do anything most of the time if someone isn't looking for you to solve their problems. And maybe if you respond to it by getting overwhelmed and freaking out and acting like it's your problem, then you're a narcissist. Right? Because you can't care about someone else's life.
Well, yeah, because
you're making it into your crisis.
That would be it's too much emotional labor for them.
My emotional labor.
Yep.
I'm laboring right now.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.